You possibly may never have been on a flight and are wondering that for your first flight, whether you're going on a business trip with us or you are going for your relocation by career, what are you going to expect? What's out there for you? How are you going to navigate? Who's going to help you? Well, do not fuss about that, because I am here to do just that. I am here to enlighten you. If you are a beginner, I'm going to enlighten you with information that you may need to be equipped for global travels for the first time or second or third time. Believe you me, the more you travel, the better you understand, the better equipped, knowledgeable you are. So if it's your first time, second time, third time, even less than 5 times of traveling or of flying, then you may need this guide. So what I've done is I have created a full guidebook that talks about everything you need to know regarding your first couple of flights. But I've also decided to come and summarize here, talk in general about some of those things, so that you have an idea. And then after that, you can download the guidebook that I have created for you, that is going to guide you continuously. You always have a reference point, and it's also more detailed than what I'm going to do today. But like I said, today I'm just going to give you an idea. So let's get into it. First, let's talk about navigating airports. Before you leave home, there are things that you need to do. You need to check. Number one is that you need to check your flight status. Usually when you have bookings and confirmed flights, you have tickets printed out, or e-tickets, soft copy tickets that you can always refer to for your information. But check your flight status. Check what time am I going to fly, really. What time should I check in? What time should I board? It's clearly said in my book, but I'm saying that now you also need, number two, to gather your documents. There's lots of documents that you need to have ready, and these include your passport, your tickets, your in any other, like your academic certificates, your printouts for your accommodation, and your reservations for this and that, your itineraries, and so forth. So any other documents, make sure that you have every document that you need, even for your future trip. What are you traveling for? So what will you need when you get there? Right. And another tip, number 3, while you are also before you leave your home, is to then make sure to put in place things that will help you arrive early. You need to arrive early, well early, usually 3 to 4 hours. I like a person to start making their way 4 hours. Make sure that they will arrive 4 hours earlier. They usually say 3 hours, and it's usually also 2 hours check-in allowance. But hear it from me, use 4 hours. It will help you. So this was about the before you leave home. Now let's move to another point of arriving at the airport. You're now at the airport. What do? You need to find the correct terminal. You need to go to the correct terminal. Terminals can really be huge. Some airports are huge, and some airports can have quite a number of terminals that are so far away from each other. I have an example of Beijing International Airport. Now I know that China has introduced another very big, much bigger airport, but I wanted to talk about the Beijing International Airport, which has at that time when I was staying there and moving around in that area, they had 3 terminals, and terminal number 1 would be kilometers and kilometers away from terminal number 2, kilometers away from terminal number 3. You literally don't go in general direction, same direction generally. If you're going to Terminal 3, you may need to board a totally different kind of, maybe you need to ride a different subway direction from the one that's going to Terminal number 2 and so forth. If you're hiring a shuttle, you really need to know where this shuttle is going. You don't just go to the airport and say, because it's the airport and I'm one of my, it's a totally different world. So you need to know your terminal and find the correct terminal. A terminal is not a terminal, especially when it comes to very, very advanced countries. And then you also then, when you arrive at the airport, you need to then go to a check-in point for your flight. Now there's check-in points everywhere. Some airports have 4 floors. Some airports have underground services somewhere down there and basement and things like that. There's also services for different kinds of things, like there's shops, there's cafes, there's banks, there's everything. So you need to locate check-in your check-in point, and there's also very many check-in points for different airlines, for different especially airlines and so forth. And so make sure that you know where you go, where you're supposed to be checking in the correct floor that you're supposed to be checking in, and so forth. Know your check-in point, get there. It can take you maybe something like 9 minutes, 10 minutes to get from one check-in point to another if you went to the wrong side of things. So that's why I also said you need about 4 hours, especially if you are a first timer or a second timer. And then when you get there, you need to check in yourself, but you also will check in your baggage or your luggage. It is the last time that you're going to see your luggage till you arrive. So there's luggage or baggage, and then so it's called checked in luggage, usually your suitcases and other big things, and then you have your carry one that you carry with you, something smaller like a backpack around 7 kgs or less, and maybe your laptop. So you need to check in your luggage. You also need to get your boarding pass. So this will allow you to pass to go through the other side where you're going to start your boarding process and where you're going to finally board your plane. And so those are the things that will happen as soon as you arrive at the airport. Now, the next process is for security screening. So you need to go to your boarding gates. Now boarding gates, like I said, for huge and highly advanced airports, these boarding gates are really gates. Okay, can be so far away from each other, so far away, and then some of them, some airports have boarding gates up to number 37, number 55. Different gates by which people or travelers pass through for them to get into their particular airlines and airbuses. So boarding is not boarding. You need to board in through the correct gates. If you are boarding on gate number 21, make sure that you are heading towards where you are supposed to get through for you to then board through gate number 21. Gate number 8 may be so different from the direction that the direction that you make to go to get there is different from the gate that you need to board for number 37. So make sure that after checking in, you're sure of your boarding gates and the direction which you should take. So I'm saying that when you're ready for that, you're going to go through a security screening process. You need to follow the personnel's instructions. They are usually there and telling you what to do at which stage and so forth, and how to do it. And so sometimes they may ask they may ask you to let them check to screen your goods and to let them check. So usually it's scanning. They need to scan your possessions. This includes electronic gadgets, your laptops, your what, your belts. Sometimes they ask you to take off your shoes. They ask you to do this. They are, just follow their instructions, and then you will be allowed to finally go to your gate area. Move from that area to your boarding gate or to your plane. So if you don't do things on time, when it's time for boarding, your ticket will already indicate what time you should start boarding. So this is different. Check-in is different. Boarding is different. You just need to be so watchful of what you're doing. You just need to be watching for notices. Notices are usually being announced loudly by communication systems, but also you need to check. There's usually clear displays of everything, signage of where you're supposed to go, for which gate, what to do. Everything is usually there. So just pay attention to detail. And so when you get to your so I'm saying some places may need you to use a shuttle, an organized shuttle to go there. Some places may require you to walk. I've been to airports where you walk distances you wished you had also checked in your carry-on luggage, because if it gets heavy on you, you are still walking and walking and walking to your airline, to your Airbus or to your aeroplane. So it depends on what they're using. Some of them may use trams, a tram, those little trains that move on the ground, like small rails. Yeah, so whatever kind of shuttle that they have provided for you, they need to get on it while there's still that arrangement to move from there to there using the shuttle. Now, another thing is that you also need to just be checking, I've said that, just be checking the airport maps, just be checking signage, just be checking instructions. You usually don't get lost if you pay attention to detail. Now, the next thing that we need to talk about is your boarding. So when it comes to boarding, there's usually announcements, like I said, you listen to them, you hear them. There are also screen notices that this Airbus going to what number what is now boarding. Please do what. So you need to when it's boarding, you need to listen to announcements. You need to listen to instructions and therefore check screen notices. And also when you board, your plane, make sure that you are on your you get in there in your airplane. Make sure that you're on your correct allocated seat. Your tickets have seat allocations already, so you just need to check that if you are number 35A, and then you look up there, you see there's a signage that's gonna say 34A, 35A, 35B, 35C. So that determines whether you're sitting by the window or in the middle or in the aisle. And you also then, when you locate your real seat, your correct seat, you then need to put your hand luggage on the cabin above. There are instructions on how to do it. So you put what you put there, you take what you can sit, that which can sit on you. There will be instructions every time, but make sure that you're on your correct seat. It's nasty to be sitting on a wrong seat and somebody has that seat and they come to you and ask you to please vacate their seat, and then you start looking for your seat. You don't need that. Nobody needs to find anyone sitting on their seat. That's unnecessary hassle for travelers. So make sure that you don't cause such a scene while you are on your flight. And then the next thing now is in flight. Now you are in your correct seat. You have put your baggage, your carry-on luggage in the cabin up there. You have what you need on you. There's going to be instructions, like I said, but now you need to discover the Airbus facilities for your comfort. Can you adjust your seat? Can it recline? Can it? Can you? Does yours? Do you have a TV at the back? of the next person's seat? Is this your TV? Do they have earphones on the sides? Which side is your earphones? Which side is your belt? Because usually, I'm talking about people that are flying economy. I didn't mention that at the beginning. For those that are traveling by business or first class, different story. And I'm never going to advise those people. But so make sure that you know which side of things is yours, especially if you're sitting you're not on the window side, the window side of the seat. If there's any, you're on the middle or the other side of the aisle, you can mix up things. So some things are on this side for you. Are they this side? Discover that. Or is this my side of what I take on? Are these earphones mine? Are these, some of the things are already packaged behind your seat? Most of the things, your guide for this and that, maybe a meal, a guide and menu, and your any other things that you would need later. Sometimes they have headphones. Sometimes they have a little cloth for you to later on warm yourself with. Which one is yours? Just make sure you discover those things for your comfort and for your journey. And also, next thing, while you're talking of what to do in flight, is to follow the cruise instructions. Like there's usually instructions everywhere. Some of them they are written, some of them will be announced, some of them will be demonstrated. They'll stand and introduce themselves and demonstrate how to do this. Make sure to pay attention to detail. So we follow those instructions without failure. It's for your good and for the good of those that you're traveling with, and especially those that you are sitting with. And then I also have another the next thing that we talk about is connecting flights. So some of you may realize that you're going to a faraway region and you cannot have one flight, just a straight flight. In most cases, straight flights are usually very unaffordable and sometimes also unavailable. For most African countries, you literally can't fly direct. You have to come from one airport to another to get a connecting flight to another region. It's usually like that. But so if there is need for you then to connect to other flights, you got to your first destination, you now need to go to your connecting flight. Please do the following. Check your flight itinerary very well. I'm talking about the things that are written about your schedules of the flight. So if it says that you're going to wait in Nairobi for 5 hours for your next flight, you need to be cautious about that and know that you have 5 hours. But there are times when you also need to be super cautious because of time zone differences. Make sure that you're using a world map, a world clock. Make sure that you're, time zone, never joke with time zone changes, especially if you're, for example, I had a flight that nearly got me so confused. I had a flight that moved from Nairobi, it was Nairobi to Abu Dhabi, not to Abu Dhabi, yes, to Abu Dhabi. And there was it was night, the AMs, the early AMs, and there had to be AM, there had to be hours of waiting, but because of the time zone difference, there's a technicality that if I hadn't been a watchful person, I was gonna miss that flight. So just be cautious. That's my number one advice that I'll carry throughout. Just be cautious. Just look at detail. Check your time zone changes. Check everything. So when you get there, when you have to connect a flight, check your flight itinerary. Like I said, especially the time. What time am I departing? So what time should I check in? What is my boarding time and so forth? But that's your worry when you have managed to move yourself out of the flight that you were on and gotten to a waiting area. Now, a waiting area is not a waiting area. It also depends on your itinerary. Which flight are you going to get next? So which terminal are you going to, are you supposed to go to, which boarding gate, and everything else that I've said before now begins playing again. So you need to watch for any signage of your boarding gates, your what. Ask security if you don't know, if you get confused about something. Don't be shy to ask, because that little shyness can cost you lots of trouble and money. Never miss a flight for anything. So you need to follow the signs. Sometimes it tells you that connecting flights go this way. So you are not the same with the person that has arrived, because there are some people that you are on the same flight with that are going this way because they have arrived. But you are connecting, you are in transit. So there's transit signage, there's what. When you get there, also check your boarding, what, where can you wait, how many hours are you waiting, and you put everything in order. Don't, airports can also be very much fun. You can have a lot of fun. You can shop, you can play games, you'll be having Wi-Fi, so you can be on anything that you want to do. You can even have time. There's a time that I traveled in there, 12 hours waiting time. You need to know what you're doing. If you don't know what you're doing, please stick in one place. It's way better. So follow the signs of this and ask for help if needed. Then the next point is on arrival. Let's say you've connected maybe 2 times, maybe 3 times. I've had a flight where I've connected 4 different countries and airports. So it was a 52-hour journey. 52 hours. That's like more like 3 days. Almost three practical days on one trip. So when you finally arrived, on arrival, there's also signage to follow. There's remember, you have luggage when you arrive. That luggage, which I said at the beginning, that you will not set your eyes again till you arrive. Even if you spent 4 days in it, you had 4 different airlines in 5 different countries. Your luggage, you will not see it. You only see it at the very end of your journey on arrivals. So when you get to arrivals, you now need to claim your baggage. Your ticket usually indicates that you're collecting your baggage. If you're coming from this airline, you're collecting your baggage at what carousel. So the carousel is that big round thing that goes on that's having your bags, and it's moving round and round, and you can all see your bags, and then you know that this is my bag. And you also usually have a tag that indicates that your bag number. This was given you on the time and date of check-in. So you just check and match your bag and your which carousel you're supposed to be collecting from, and then it goes round and round, and you pick your luggage. But sometimes luggage may get missing. You can't find it. It's not there on this carousel. So you go to report at the baggage office somewhere there, and they'll know how to help you in all the processes. After that, you go to you need to exit. You have your baggage, you have everything. So this is usually where you go to the customs, and they check if they have to check. Sometimes they scan, sometimes you need to declare, sometimes it doesn't matter depending on what is happening. So or your kind of the kind of flights the passenger you have been. But I believe that I'm talking to the basic to moderate kind of passengers. Okay, so the final thing is to exit. So you follow the signs after the immigration. They've stamped you in there. You are stamped into the country. You have arrived, and if it's a visa on arrival, then they know what they're doing. If you're a tourist and you're getting stamped in, your visa is starting to count down from that time and so forth. Never mind those nitty-gritties. Some of those things I put them in this guide document, which then I encourage you to make sure you have a copy. Then so you exit. Sometimes you have people, for example, if Limitless Solutions Global has organized a flight for you or a location for you, we usually have people that pick you up. They are waiting for you. So if they were supposed to be holding a banner called Limitless Solutions Global or your name, usually your name, then you check for people that are waiting for your name or a person. And then, but if that's not the case, you still need to follow the exit signs, and then you exit out of the arrival section, and then you find your way to, if it's somebody picking you, that's okay. If you need to order a taxi, an Uber or anything right there, you do that. If you need to get on the subway, you also need to know to navigate your way to where you're going. Possibly you're going to a different city altogether. Possibly going to a hotel and the hotel sends in a shuttle for you, or it's already waiting for you because they knew you were coming. Or anything, just make sure that when you arrive, you have, before you even leave your country, you have everything in place. That's why we love to organize this for our clients using our LSG travel service, and make sure that everybody is covered. They are picked up, they are dropped where they're supposed to go, and we do continuous support. Now, this is basically it, but I wanted to also say that there are things that I have prepared. Sorry about that, I'm trying to just check something. Yes, there are things that I've prepared for you guys. I've prepared, like I said, it's a whole document, but in general, here's a rundown of what to expect from that. It has, it's going to talk about a travel checklist. What you need to check in depth. What you need to check, that you have like many things. Travel checklist, your documents, your packaging. It also talks about your packing essentials. What do you need to carry on you? Because remember, the differences between your luggage and your carry-on luggage. You need to, the smart tips of what to pack and what not to pack in the baggage and in your carry-on. There's a difference. Really, if you pack some things and you put them where they're not supposed to be, you simply leave them at the airport in the bin. No matter how valuable, there's no choice. You have to put those things in a bin. But if it's something that you can carry on to the flights, if you've put something on you that is not supposed to be carried onto a flight, then they will still also ask you to put it in the bin. And so there's a guide. I talked about all those things that you need to pack to do. I have essential packing essentials. I've put some smart tips. There are things regarding liquids. There are things regarding perfumes and medicines and this and that, and and there's things to talk about. There's quite a lot. So grab the book. And then I'm saying that in that book there's also money issues and currency. Remember, you're going to a certain country, possibly passing through 2-3 countries, and you need to shop. What to do about currency? What to do about your swiping and so forth. And I've talked about pre-travel preparations, different kinds of, what do you do 10 days before, what do you do a day before, what do you do a month before, a week before, or I've talked about all that. I've also talked about what you do at the airport. Some of the things I've already covered them in this presentation, but I'm just giving you information about what that book guidebook contains in detail, and you can always refer. And then I've talked about health and safety tips during the trip, just before, during the trip, and just after. There's safety things that you need to observe and to be aware of, and also how to keep yourself safe from different kinds of things. And then I've also put in some frequently asked questions, and believe you me, that question in your mind has been answered in that booklet. So that's about it. Ladies and gentlemen, I really want to make sure that your first or second flight is really comfortable, is really informed. It's quite a headache not to know much or anything about these things regarding your international flight. Now, so what do you do? From here, you share this video to somebody who may need it. Share it with your family as well. You're allowed to like it. You're allowed to comment, to interact, even to ask for some things to be put onto the next video, or content that you need from us regarding this topic or any other. And then so you can subscribe to this channel as well, to make sure that whenever we post, you get a notification. So you subscribe and you hit a notification button, so that you get a notification that we have posted a video about what, so that you are always updated. And then the final thing that you need to do is to tap the link that is down below. It's going to lead you to where and how to download the guidebook that I've talked about all this in detail. And then once that is done, I look forward to your seamless journey between Africa and the globe or any other. Then thank me later. Happy flying from Aberdeen.